Hi. So I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to chat from my week 5 or 6 or 437, I can't remember anymore, being locked down in my palatial imitation apartment. I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on. I've been putting off talking, putting off. But it's important to talk about anxiety, things that are going on, and our confusion. And I realized that the reason I was really putting off saying something and putting something out in the world is because I don't want people to slam me, misconstrue me, call me this, call me that, accuse me of things, doing things, because that's how the world has gotten these days. If you put anything on Facebook, if you say anything on one way or the other on anything, we're so divisive that we make assumptions about who we are, what they are, and the quality and content and character of somebody based on the dumbest, stupidest things without ever hearing somebody's thought. And it really pisses me off. And so I thought about why we have anxiety during coronavirus, COVID, why we have all of this stuff going on. And I've given it the thought of this is ridiculous. It's exactly the thing that is being done is to keep people from actually talking and having conversations and hearing thoughts and sharing experiences that have kept us in this place. So, I want to tell you something about what was said in a documentary about a Japanese soldier said about Americans. They were fighting on Iwo Jima, and there was a story of a guy who got caught between the two fronts, and so he was injured, he was shot. Nobody could get to him until dark because he was between the two lines. But at dark, he went out to go, a corpsman, a medic came out to get him, and it happened to be the corpsman from his squad, and so he knew him. And he gave him some morphine, and he tended to his wound, and he tried to help get him back behind the lines. But then he heard the cry of another person, somebody he didn't know a couple of feet away that was also injured. So he got up and he went over and he attended to that man and he saved that man's life. But because he did, he got shot and he died right there next to that man he saved. Now, he later received the Medal of Honor. But in talking about this, a Japanese soldier that was on the other side when this event happened said that was the difference between Americans and the Japanese. The Americans fought for one another. They sacrificed for one another. The Japanese sacrificed for the emperor, sacrificed for the honor of the country and the nation. Well, guess what? That is Americans. We do things for each other. We sacrifice for one another, strangers, neighbors, whoever, people that are with us. That's always been Americans. We run into buildings that are burning for people we don't know because these are our people. These are us. This is us. And yet over the past several years, decades maybe, we've changed. We've divided. We've become this on the left or this on the right. And now we're in the middle of this pandemic and we can't get out of our own way to talk about how we're actually going to help each other. Instead, we have press conferences where we have the bickering of a president and the bickering of a media. We don't know. I don't know who to listen to, right? Do I listen to CNN? Do I listen to Fox News? Do I read the New York Times? Do I listen to Breitbart? What do I do? Nobody can give us an answer. Nobody will give us an answer of what is really going on. Not our leaders, not our politicians, not our media that's supposed to watchdog it. No, everything has to come at a cost, right? Everything has to come with a slant and with a version. And that is not acceptable to the American people. That's not acceptable in leadership of any kind. Leadership is about sacrificing for others. It's about humility and making mistakes. And it isn't just the president that's expected to lead. It's the people reporting the stories, right? It's the people. And I don't blame just everybody. I mean, the whole thing's antagonistic. Everything becomes politicized. People, the silent majority in this country are tired of this. What they want, all right, is somebody to step forward and go, here's the game plan. This isn't about politics. Here's how we're going to help. And oh, by the way, here's what you need to do, all right, to make that happen. Here's how you can sacrifice for your neighbor. Here's how you can help out. I'm stuck here. I want to help. The only thing I can do is get on here and talk about my frustration and not even knowing what the right thing to do is to help. So let's get this straight. Coronavirus. This is what we know, okay? You need to keep 6 feet apart, because that will help keep you from getting it, unless it doesn't, because it may or may not be in droplets, it may or may not be airborne, all right? You should wear a mask, Masks are totally useful. They will help you solve this, although they won't actually keep you from getting anything and are probably of very little value, but we're going to make you wear a mask, even though we're not sure whether that'll help. Everything's going to be locked down unless you need to go outside. Everybody stay home unless you need to go to the grocery store. And if you are working at the grocery store, everything's fine because you need to be doing that. If you're sick and you're elderly and you're at risk, you don't go anywhere unless it's to the pharmacy. Now, I understand the toughness in all this, right? I understand that, people need to move on and do their lives, but we're not even getting information to know what's okay. It doesn't spread to animals. It never comes from animals, unless it's this kitten or a couple of tigers or this one dog. This could kill millions of people unless it doesn't. This is highly susceptible. We can all get it, and it's really, really contagious, except for most people, or many people will be asymptomatic and won't know a thing, right? It only affects the old people and the elderly and the susceptible, except for those that it doesn't. So what's the truth, guys? All right? What's the truth and what's the plan? All I'm asking for is to step forward and get any leaders and any people in the media and anybody anywhere that will stop with the bullshit and just step forward and give us a plan and the facts. Because right now, all you see is the president says this, the governors say this, CNN says this, Fox News says this about CNN, they say this about Coleman. Guys, we don't care. The bulk of people don't care about your bullshit. What we want is leadership and politics, and from our people that are reporting to us so we know what's next. All right? And I don't understand why that's so difficult to understand. And instead what we get is Facebook pages and things. Bill Gates created this virus in order to make billions of dollars selling the vaccination in which he will input you a chip into your arm. That's a thing. That's things people are saying. Do you understand? In the lack of consistent, useful information we can trust, that is what people are saying and believing. This was all a global pandemic, was all a ruse to unseat Trump. It was all used as a cabal. It's a deep state made up of rich Jewish people who are trying to create a one world government, which doesn't matter because we're all going to die of whatever the next generation of the fifth generation of cell phone towers are going to blow up our brains, which is great because our vaccinated microchips in our hands, right, are going to be able to help them determine exactly where we are. Guys, you're absolutely right. There are civil liberties being taken from us in certain ways. All right? There are certain things being done because our leaders are looking for any opportunity to exploit us. But we need to trust somebody to give us some facts. Somebody in the media to stop the bullshit. Somebody to stand up and say, guys, it's tough, but we're Americans, we're smart, and because we sacrifice for each other, we will be successful and overcome. All right? That's what makes America great. And as I close this out, because I will go too long because I'm frustrated. And maybe nobody will ever see this and maybe I'll never even post it, but I need to say it. I'm reminded of a parable and a story. What is heaven? What is hell? All right? So this man in hell says, comes back from hell and says to his friend, and the friend goes, what was hell like? And he goes, it was just a giant buffet table with every possible food you could ever imagine. The greatest, just the prime rib and ribeye and the most wonderful pies and food. I mean, it was, and you're starving all the time and all you want is to eat. But the problem down there is the one rule is you have to eat with these long spoons. And it's impossible to feed yourself with them because they're too long with your arms. So you try to scoop them into your mouth and you never get a bite. It's so tantalizing close and they torture you forever. And the man goes, oh, wow, what's heaven like? He goes, it's exactly the same. Same buffet table, same wonderful food, except you never starve because people take their wooden handles and their wooden spoons and they feed each other. Well, we're looking for leadership here to feed us so that we can feed others. We're looking for people to tell us the truth so that we can have some confidence in what's happening next. We're the United States. We've been in tough times. We're going to be okay. But now we need to step forward, and the silent majority needs to rise up and make their voices heard, not the kooks on the right and the left, and not the bickering and not the media. It's time for us to take control and make sure that we do our due diligence and right to put the right people in charge and give them the microphone, not the others. I wish you safety and health and wealth, and we're all in this together, and let's be there for each other. That's it. I feel better, sort of. Until today's briefing on CNN.